Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Marco Jure Show, everybody. It is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in to today's show to hear all the relevant, groundbreaking news here in America and around the world, the only show where the facts are facts and hard truths thrive. Please don't forget to follow this show and share with whomever needs to hear the truth in our quest to unwoke America together. I thank everyone that's been doing that. It's now time for the best hour that radio has to offer. Uncensored and ready to go. It is Election Day in America, folks, across many of our states. In honor of that, I'm wearing my Reagan Bush 84 shirt, hoping that all the Republicans make their way out to the polls today and, of course, vote for the candidates that are going to actually serve the public and not serve themselves. Yeah. Is that going to happen? I have no idea. I can't tell you. I don't have a magic crystal ball to rub and tell you what's going to happen. But these are looking like tight races. I've got to tell you this. All these races, from the New York City mayoral race to what's happening in the gubernatorial race in New Jersey, what's happening in the races in Virginia, and again, many Prop 50 in California. We don't know what's going to happen there. But I can tell you, if people don't go out and vote, again, the people that oppose this nonsense, then you will get something bad as a result of this. You'll get something you don't want in many cases. It does look like New York City is going to have a bigger turnout than in previous years. In fact, many, many decades is what it seems like. Looks like they're projecting to get at least 2 million votes cast today. So really interesting stuff happening. Again, I look at what's happening and I say to myself, how do we go from, Rudy Giuliani, 25 years ago to a communist from Uganda who's, very much pro-Islam. Well, fine, pro-Islam, whatever. That's your thing. But leading the most wealthy city in America. Again, it's a little odd, I'd have to say. Just a thought. We know all about Mamdani. I've told you about him time and time again. In fact, the first show I ever did for you was how that he will definitely be turning New York City into the future Weimar Republic. That's a truism that's going to be happening should he win this race. I don't know how this race is going to turn out. I can make it a prediction. Who knows, though? We have no idea what's going to happen in this race. If people get out and vote for Cuomo, he probably won't win. But you're going to need people that were backing Sliwa to come over to Cuomo. And again, it's possible to get a plurality of the votes, I'd have to say. But only time will tell. And again, he's got a lot of money behind him. We know he's got Soros money. We know he's got CARE money now, thanks to Linda Sarasor talking about that. So he's got a lot of things going for him. He's got the smile, right? And even when he's getting, called out, he's got the big smile on his face. He's a young guy. So the imbecilic young adults in New York City think he's a great guy and everything. He's going to work for them because he understands them. Not going to happen. The city's going to go to crap very, very soon. I told you yesterday, about 1 million people in New York City are looking all ready to move should this jackass become the next mayor. So you've got some hours ahead of you, folks, in New York City. You have time to make history, make a big change, and maybe you could save your city. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's already gone. I don't know. All I know is you got to get to the polls and vote today. If you're in California, you got to go vote no on Prop 50. We'll talk about all this a little bit later. But I want to start off the show talking about this New Jersey Election Day bomb threat that's now shut down polling in 7 key counties. Again, this is a very, very tight contested race right here between Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli. Very, very close race. Ciattarelli almost knocked off Phil Murphy last time, back in 2021. But get this, we had several New Jersey polling sites being closed, and again, the voter locations being moved on Election Day following bomb threats in at least 7 counties, including heavily Republican districts. Not a shock there, right? Law enforcement agencies were tipped off about threats made to the polling locations in Bergen, Essex, Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth, Ocean, and Passaic, I believe is how you say that last one, in these 7 counties on Tuesday morning. And the AG's office said that the law enforcement officers responded at each affected polling place, and they worked swiftly to secure these polling locations and ensure the safety of every single voter. So, we go through these shenanigans, by the way, and these things keep happening time and time again. The left talks about, again, we don't know who called these in, but I highly doubt it's a Republican. I'm just going to say that. I highly doubt it's a Republican calling in a bomb threat to Republican polling places in a very tight, contested race like this one. Just thought I'd share that with you. But we have the officials now saying that the threats were not credible. They were obviously done to sway votes, to silence you. Don't go to this voting location or else you might have a bomb there. Talk about election interference. My goodness. Yep, look at this. The bomb threats come in middle of the knife-edge governor's race between Mikey Sherrill and a dead heat with a Republican businessman and former state legislator Jack Ciattarelli. Yep. Again, I hope this doesn't alter anything in this race. Obviously, it's been proven that the bomb threat was a hoax, so hopefully people will still get to the polls. We've seen this before in the past, though. People go up to polling locations, the machines don't work, then they go to another polling location, they're told they can't vote there, and, this nonsense. All nonsense. So, again, I hope they figure out who the hell was responsible for this and hold that person or persons accountable for this. This shouldn't be happening in America, folks. These should be secure locations. They should be heavily watched. And people should be able to vote freely in whatever state they are in. Okay? That's the way it should be. But now we see this in Breitbart. It says voting machines down in 3 red districts of New Jersey as election day heats up. So not only did we have polling locations closed in several very Republican districts, very red areas in New Jersey, now we've got voting machines down in 3 red districts. What are those people going to do now? Can they go to another district? What's going to happen? It's unbelievable. And again, these machines should be checked the night before, at least. They should be tested, see if they can work. All this should have been done prior to this. There should be nothing new. Look at this. It says just before 8 a.m., Pressler reported on X that 3 red districts in Cumberland County saw their machines go down. Yep, in 3 red districts in Cumberland County, New Jersey, machines are down. On the phone with legal right now. So, we talk about free and fair elections. What's happening right now? We saw this in Arizona last year. We saw people writing in things. The machines weren't letting the ink go through on certain machines in Maricopa County, which, again, is the most populous county in Arizona. People told to go to a different location, then they're told to go back to the location. We need to have free and fair elections in our country, folks. Okay? That's the way a republic is supposed to work. I've told you this time, I'm sick of these electronic voting machines. They don't work better. They're not more efficient. They don't count the ballots quicker. Just go look at the congressional races last year in California, taking weeks upon weeks. And what could happen in those weeks upon weeks? Well, you could throw more votes in. You could do whatever you want, really. So this has got to stop. This has got to stop. We should have free and fair elections in our country. And we shouldn't have to go through all this nonsense. Now, what we should have, instead of having these machines that hook up to the internet, these electronic voting machines, we should have paper ballots. We used to do it for, the longest time. Why all of a sudden can't we do this anymore? Everyone gets a paper ballot. You go in, you fill out what you want. You have a certain number in the precinct you're in. You can go online and check, see how voter, whatever number you are, voted. How your vote tallied into that precinct. All right? You should know how your precinct voted. This is what we should know. Not, oh, yeah, you voted. How do I know what my vote counted for? They could just say, hey, yeah, you cast your ballot. Congratulations. I don't know if it's counted. I have no idea. How do my vote tally up in my precinct? I should be able to go in and check my results. And if there's something wrong when I go online and check my results, I have a right to contest it and say, hey, look, here's the carbon copy I got from the precinct. It's supposed to match up online. It's not. There's something wrong here. And that would ensure accountability. That would ensure transparency. But we don't see this anymore. You go online in California, it just says, yes, you voted on this day. Well, does that mean my ballot was counted? I know I voted. Again, they can tell you whatever the hell they want. Oh, yeah, you voted. Okay, great. Yeah, good. I mean, this is the stupidity behind all this. And weeks upon weeks to cast a ballot in a congressional race to figure out who won. But like I told you yesterday, they knew at 8:01 p.m. Kamala Harris was the winner in the largest populous state in the country. 0 precincts reporting. They knew exactly who won that race. They knew exactly Adam Schiff won his race for the Senate. 8:01 p.m. Not a problem there. Unequivocal. But not your local congressional race. Not your proposition. That took weeks. That took a long time. And what could happen in that time? Well, we know that. They can obviously put more ballots in. They can go to the mail-in ballot boxes, take more from there. All this could be happening. Then again, you vote on election day, you go about your business. You look at the results, you say, okay, here's what's happening, and then, you don't pay attention to it anymore. Most people probably don't pay attention. I pay attention because I care about it. I keep my eye on these things. But we should be ensured free and fair elections. People should not be coerced not to vote. And there shouldn't be any of these irregularities with these voting machines on election day. These are supposed to be tested within, I think it's 24 hours before the election begins. They're supposed to be tested to ensure that they're working properly. So this does not happen. I mean, I'm just so sick of it. We should be going back to paper ballots. This has been a nice little trial run. We got to stop this. And again, I hope President Trump could get behind something like that. It would definitely be something very effective, I think, in America. Maybe some of you agree, maybe you don't agree, maybe you like the electronic machines. I don't. Again, because they're not effective. We know they can be rigged. How can you rig a paper ballot unless, of course, you stuff the ballot box? But if you're posting your results online and you see how your vote tallied, and you have to show a voter ID, you have to be registered in the county of which you voted, it's much more difficult to do stuff like that. Just thought I'd bring that up to you as well. So there you go, New Jersey. Again, it's going to be a tight race, and we're seeing all these problems with voting on this day. So I hope, again, Republicans stay consistent, hope independents, and I guess maybe even wise enough, moderate Democrats maybe come and vote for Jack Ciattarelli. Maybe get some sense into New Jersey again. Who knows? Then Breitbart tells us this. Listen to this. Says Zohran Mamdani, I changed his name on purpose because he is fairly stupid, says he will defend illegal aliens' right to live in New York City. Now, this, again, is a federal issue. Maybe he doesn't understand separation of powers. Right? They know separation of powers when it comes to inserting Christianity into the public square. They know that. Separation of church and state, even though that's not anywhere in any type of government document. But they know that one, right? They know that. You can't do that. You can't put a cross in a public school. You can't say a prayer in a public school. Otherwise, everyone's going to freak out. Yep, it's okay to spit on Christianity. That's totally fine. Oh, that's good. Yeah, okay. No worries there. That's okay. Spit on Christianity, right? That's okay. But now the idiot himself, Zohran Mamdani, says that he will defend the rights of illegal aliens in New York City against President Trump. Now, again, this is funny to me because he has no say in this because it's a federal issue. He is a state elected official. He has no say in this. That's why the Alvin Bragg case in New York City was so funny. You were charging him for a federal election violation when you're the county. What was he? The DA, I believe, is what Alvin Bragg was. Yeah, he's the DA. It's out of his jurisdiction, and it's out of Zohran Mamdani's jurisdiction too. He has no say in this. This is a federal issue. There is a supremacy clause that federal rights trump the state constitution in some regards, and this is one of them. The state cannot come in and say, you know what, we're not going to follow the federal constitution. They can't do that, folks. They can't do that. Neither can he. Now, he's going to try to, of course. He's going to try to get money. He's going to try to do everything he can to not cooperate with ICE and other organizations that are deporting illegal aliens. Of course he's going to do that. That's all this dunce is probably going to do, by the way. Just keep bringing in illegal aliens to New York City, obviously destroy the police department. And there you go. You have a crime-ridden New York City with the wealthiest people heading to the Hamptons, heading to Long Island, heading to Westchester, or, downstate. Maybe even going to Florida. Who knows? Who knows where they're going to go? But they're not going to stay. Maybe they'll go to New Jersey if Chitterelli wins. Who knows? Could be wonderful. Could be a nice little bump up for New Jersey. Get some of that money flowing across the bridge there. It'll be wonderful. Absolutely wonderful for them. So during a press conference this week, Mamdani, an immigrant from Uganda, was asked about the potential of President Trump having ICE agents conduct raids across New York City, as well as possibly sending in the National Guard. In response, Mamdani attacked Mayor Eric Adams. Why not? Why wouldn't he? And so that he would fight for the city's sanctuary policy, that is illegal, by the way, I added that part in there, that bans the New York City Police Department from working with ICE agents to arrest and detain even the most violent illegal aliens. I will not be the mayor that we have today who went on national television and opened the door to civil immigration enforcement. No, so he's not going to follow the law. He's already telling you ahead of time he's not going to follow the law. He doesn't give a damn about the Constitution, about federal immigration laws passed by the Congress, passed by a U.S. president. He doesn't care about them. I will be the mayor that stands up for our sanctuary city policies, that stands up for every New Yorker's right to live in the city, and the mayor who will hold everyone accountable to the law, no matter who they are, while he lets them violate the law. This dunce, this idiot, this schmuck, this loser, this bum, this failed rapper. I can't take it. I already can't take it. He hasn't even been elected yet. And people are voting for this clown. I can't believe it. Can anyone point to anything he's run that's been successful other than his mouth? Other than taking Soros money? I mean, what else has he done that he's been successful with? Now, months ago, Mamdani suggested that his administration would go even further for the city's sanctuary policy, though he was unclear on the details. Well, he's probably going to give him money like Gavin Newsom in California. That way he keeps him in the city. Hey, free this, free that, free hotel room. Hey, you want a suite at the Roosevelt Hotel? We'll give it to you. We'll kick the, U.S. veterans out. It'll be fine. Yep. It says the Trump administration is waging war on the First Amendment and our constitutional rights as it continues to abduct New Yorkers from across our city. Any effort to cooperate with these efforts is a moral stain on our city. We should strengthen our sanctuary city laws. Okay. So while he creates a, fabricated law that's unconstitutional, that should be shot down by the courts, by the way. Where the hell are the courts on this? Every sanctuary policy for a city, a county, a state should be shot down indefinitely. Anyone who's not following the federal immigration law should be thrown out of office. That's my take on it. I mean, again, either we are a nation of citizens or we are a nation of God knows what. I don't know. Now, I say that with the understanding, of course, that there needs to be due process. Don't misunderstand me. I don't think ICE agents just jump off of a vehicle and just, ask people for their papers. There should be some sort of due process to this. The problem with what we're seeing right now is sometimes that's not happening. They are arresting people. They are going into locations where we know there are illegal aliens, and they're simply taking people, arresting them, and detaining them. I don't agree with all that. Now, I've told you before, due process, obviously, there needs to be some sort of evidence in order to, probable cause to detain somebody. But what do you do if there's, somebody's an illegal alien? How do you do that? I know this person doesn't have papers. I mean, how do you do that? How does something like this happen? It becomes difficult. You don't know what to do. You have to build some sort of case against that person. Who do you know who that person is? We don't know their name because they came in the country illegally. So there's so many issues with this. It's a problem, obviously. That's something for the Trump administration to figure out, I think. But there needs to be due process when you are detaining people in this country. Otherwise, there's nothing that stops the federal government from stopping you and detaining you or arresting you at any time. So again, there should be some sort of way we figure out who's supposed to be here, who's not supposed to be here, and you use that to build a case, to identify where that person is, to legally detain them. They have a right to, again, prove who they are. And if they can't, or if they admit they're here illegally, then it's time to send them to their country of origin. That's the way it should be working. But here's the problem. You have somebody who's arrested for a crime, and Zohran Mamdani wants to say, you know what, we're not going to cooperate with ICE. We're going to put them right back on the streets. They can do it again. Maybe they'll stab somebody in the subway, throw them in front of a subway car, maybe defecate in a city bus on right in front of somebody. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Maybe they'll rob a bodega. Oh, who cares? Right? We're going to have free grocery stores anyway, paid for by you, the idiot taxpayer. Can't you see how good New York City's looking, folks? Can't you see how good this is looking? It's amazing to me. Anyone would vote for this guy. It really is amazing to me. Remember, anytime you try to get something for nothing, understand this. Anytime you try to get something for nothing, you're going to get less than nothing. You have less money in your pocket, and you have a lower quality of services. Never forget that. And again, we could point to Soviet Union, Communist China, Cuba, Venezuela. Oh, you can see how communism works out. Oh, you can see it very well, folks. You can see what it leads to. Again, he wants to bring back prostitution. Oh, all this nonsense. He wants it to look like, LA's Figueroa Street in downtown LA, where they're prostituting 12-year-olds. He wants to say that's okay. It's okay to do that. Now, you know why I said he's going to bring back the Weimar Republic? Because that's exactly what he's trying to do. Decadence in the streets, filth in the streets, illegal aliens in the streets, crime in the streets, lots of debt, nothing being built. He's got all these little diagrams of, building buildings. Yeah, right. What the hell does he know about building anything? He doesn't know anything. He can't even write a rap song, for God's sakes. My God, how difficult could that be? But here we are. He's the smiley guy. Remember George Carlin? Never forget George Carlin said this too, by the way. Now, he said when fascism comes to America. Well, I'm going to say when communism comes to America. It's not going to come in jack boots and a uniform. It's going to come back in a smiley face, right? He's all Mr. Smiles here. A smiling Mamdani. Good old Mamdani, there he is. There he is. Good old smile on his face. The policies sound too good to be true. Well, if this policy worked, we could offer something like this. Why wouldn't we have done this before? Because it doesn't work. We've seen this work out. We've seen city-run grocery stores. We've seen it all. It always ends in one way, right in the crap house. And that's exactly where these policies are going to lead the city as well. So, if you're in New York City, I would get on and vote against this guy. I'd probably vote for Cuomo, because at least he can probably swing more votes than Sliwa can. And I know some of you say, well, Joe Reyes is a Republican, I got to vote for Sliwa. Well, okay, well, your vote goes to Mamdani. I don't know how else to say this to you. Let's be blunt about this. A vote for Sliwa is a vote for Mamdani. Okay? That's how this race is going to get split. He's got 43% of the city vote, roughly. And unless the other million coming in are people that are opposed to him, he's looking pretty bad in this race. In terms of Sliwa. Okay? So again, I don't know. Maybe people are going to come out and vote for Cuomo. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. Only time will tell. We should know by this evening. I believe the polls are closing at 9 p.m. in New York City. So, folks, you need to go out and vote against this. I'm just going to tell you this. If you're in New Jersey, you got to go out and vote for Jack Ciattarelli. He's a businessman. He's a leader. He can run things. He's a former state legislator, excuse me. Biden moment there. And, of course, if you're in the great state of Virginia, the great Commonwealth, you need to go out and vote for Winsome Sears. Definitely don't vote for Jay Jones as AG. My God. Jason Miyares, you need to vote for him again. He's the current AG in the state. You need some type of law and order in Virginia, and they want to take that away. Why would you vote for Abigail Spanberger? My God. How do people even nominate these people to run? It's beyond me. It really, really is. Now let's move on to California. My once home state of California, that Gavin Newsom is driving into the gutter right now. And very quickly, too, might I add. Look at this. This is the Washington Examiner. It was an article they posted yesterday. I didn't have time to go over it, but it makes sense for what we're going over today. And it all revolves around Prop 50. So Prop 50, for those that don't know, if you haven't heard me say it yet, Prop 50 is a proposition that allows the redistricting of California to take place. And instead of the state commission that does this redistricting, right, it's supposed to have equal number of Democrats, Republicans, and independents on it. Okay? So it's supposed to be a nonpartisan board. It's just to draw the congressional seats, and that's it. There's no say from the legislators. There's no say from the schmuck governor like Newsom or anything. Okay? So what Newsom is trying to do now, though, is say, you know what? We need to gain some more Democratic seats. We don't have enough in California. I mean, the Republicans are clearly overrepresented. They've got 9 seats out of, I think, the 53 total. My God, we can't have that. And so what he's trying to do is get rid of this commission, scrap it, and let the state legislature, the Democrats, of course, who are in power, write these districts out. Now, on the ballot, I'm told, they're supposed to show you what the seats look like now. And, of course, in the ballot, you don't see what the seats look like. So you have no idea what it's supposed to look like. Well, he's got the propositions out of what it's supposed to look like. And, of course, he's going after particular people he doesn't like Kevin Kiley in Northern California. He doesn't like Daryl Issa. Doesn't like him at all. He doesn't like Ken Calvert in Riverside County. And so he's going to redraw these districts to allow more Democrats to be in them. That's what he's going to try to do. At least that's what he's going to tell you. Now, they haven't scrubbed the voter rolls in God knows how long, so they can just make it up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But here we go. Listen to this. This is how great Gavin Newsom is. This lying piece of human excrement. It says there, Newsom carves out Daryl Issa's home out of his district in Prop 50 MIP. So he literally goes around his home to exclude him from, again, this more Republican area, to get rid of him. That's what he did. Listen, look at this. It says Rep. Daryl Issa's obviously a MAGA Republican fighting for his political life in the blue states, trying to send President Trump a message and a governor looking to expand his national profile. So Gavin Newsom thinks, hey, look at me. I saved my state from the evil Republicans, of course, that have no say in anything, who've been disenfranchised for the most part of the last 20 or so years. Now, Issa's fight begins exponentially more difficult if voters pass Prop 50 on Tuesday, this controversial ballot measure that redraws the state lines for the congressional districts. But look at Daryl Issa went on to say, this is disgusting what he's doing. And he said that they were deliberately drawn to eliminate Republican representation in the state. And being particularly petty is that the map makers study the home addresses of these Republican lawmakers and out of spite drew Issa out of his own district. So now he's not even in the district that's, again, traditionally more Republican. And again, this is how they're going to exclude him. He said they looked at my home address in Bonzo, and they drew it out, my actual residence. So he's looking at the map, and he's seeing that he's perfectly just crafted right out of there. Isn't that interesting? And there was no reason to do it, he goes on to say. He said, except that they were carefully drawing me out of it so that I either have to move again or somebody running that can't, or be somebody running that can't vote for themselves. That's the way it looks. Isn't that interesting? Now, I do believe in California, you can live anywhere in the state and run in any district you'd like. You just have to be a resident of the state. I personally think you should live in your district. I mean, how do you live in a district you don't even live in? That's the problem. But, Maxine Muddy Waters, she's been doing that for a while. Old Waters. Yep. Maxine Waters. Yep, she didn't even live in the district she ran in. But, there you go. It's all about power, so it doesn't matter. She's a name, obviously. And, you throw people around in different districts, you keep them in power, and there you go. So now Gavin Newsom, who will be termed out of office next year and is the front runner for the Democratic presidential nominee in 2028. That's sad, isn't it? Isn't that sad when he's the best you can do? It's really sad when Gavin Newsom has zero accomplishments. I tell everybody, go listen to my show on the 30 reasons why Gavin Newsom should never become president. How he destroyed California. Go listen to that. It took an hour and a half for me to get through everything and explain it so everyone understands how awful this guy is. Zero accomplishments to his name as governor. Zero accomplishments as mayor of San Francisco. But here we go. He's rallied thousands of voters, union members across the state. According to national media outlets, of course. Showed up on television programs, podcasts, head over hand, the hand gestures and all that nonsense. Pinching himself as the one who can save democracy. Now he's managed to turn a mid-decade redistricting battle into a battle between, obviously, California President Trump. But Newsom, the schmuck that he is of course being accused of being on an ultimate power trip, using intimidation tactics to bully donors and, of course, secure a backroom deal to wipe out California Republicans in Congress. Not that they already haven't done that. And again, I told you this before, they've been doing this for years. They've done this back in the 60s and 70s. When the state legislature shifted over to Democrats, they redrew the districts, they collapsed Republican districts into themselves to give themselves more representation. And by the way, Republicans did that too. They made more favorable districts in the 1950s when they were in power. So it's nothing new. We've seen it happen since the early 1800s in this country. Really should be outlawed. But this is the state of which we live in. Gerrymandering is a thing. And this is exactly what Gavin Newsom's doing right now. He's gerrymandering to get more power himself, right? He wants more of his cronies in D.C. should he ever, God forbid, get elected to the presidency. Now, he sat down on Sunday with Meet the Press. Good Lord. Look at this. He's with Kristen Welker. And this is how she presented the question. You take a listen to this and you tell me if this guy's an honest candidate for any type of office or any type of honest leader. You take a listen.
In California, over Prop 50, for people who are watching, this would enable a redistricting effort here in the state to add additional Democratic seats. It comes after Republicans in Texas moved to redistrict to add up to 5 additional Republican seats there at the direction of President Trump. Do you think that Prop 50 is going to pass on Tuesday, Governor?
I'm deeply confident as long as we do everything that we set out to do over the next few days. We don't believe in running the 90-yard dash. We run at peak the 110-yard dash. But the people have spoken. Spoken so far in historic ways. It's a special election. We've seen unprecedented number of ballots already sent in. We have an all-mail-in ballot system here, and of course we have a big turnout we expect on Election Day. But we're seeing overwhelming understanding and recognition of what's at stake. And remember, it's Prop 50, because this impacts everyone watching in all 50 states. As I said a moment ago, Donald Trump is an historic president, historically unpopular. He's been very open and honest, including right outside the White House just last week, saying incumbents are likely to lose the midterms. That's why he called Greg Abbott. That's why he said he's, quote unquote, entitled. Think about that. Entitled to 5 seats. That's why he sent J.D. Vance to Indiana shortly thereafter. That's why he moved in Missouri. He moved the folks in North Carolina. And now we've got a special election in Indiana, or rather a special session, and likely movement in Florida. He is not screwing around. He's changing the rules. He's rigging the game because he knows he'll lose if all things are equal.
Okay, so what Gavin Newsom is saying, by the way, this is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. So what he's saying is what they're doing is unfair because they fear they're going to lose. And Gavin Newsom comes and says, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do exactly what they're doing. They already gerrymander in California. My God. Roughly 40% of the state is Republican. As far as the voting goes, I'm sure it's even higher than that for those that don't even vote. Does that representation equal out in the state of California? Of course it doesn't. 9 seats of the total 53 seats that go into the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, here's the problem. Here's why this doesn't make any sense for what Gavin Newsom's doing. One, he's losing population. That's a problem for him. He knows that. He understands that. And again, that's why he cherishes his sanctuary city policies, because he counts on the illegal aliens to vote. That's number one. Number two, Texas has increased its population a lot since COVID, since the mass exodus of people leaving California, New York, Illinois, all the other blue states that have been locked down. And a lot of these businesses are now going to Texas, too, by the way. Just thought I'd bring that up to you. So the population has greatly changed in Texas since the census back in 2020. So knowing that, again, Texas isn't, it's not illegal for Texas to, again, redo their census. They can do this. It doesn't violate their constitution. It does violate California's. That's why he's got to go through this proposition to do this, because he knows he can't just do it outright like he would like to. So the same guy that kept you locked down for about a year and a half in California told you to wear a mask, right? Don't go shoulder to shoulder. Don't go to Thanksgiving. Don't hug grandma at Christmas. Definitely don't celebrate New Year's. You know, you want to go to a strip club. You want to get tanked at go to a liquor store. That's totally fine. By the way, your kids can't go to school for an entire year. They're going to learn online, which we know that greatly affected many of them. And when they go back, they're going to wear masks because, it's scientific, right? It's all science. Trust the science. Well, none of that was based in any science. He destroyed so many small businesses across the state. And this guy wants more power now, after losing millions of people, by and large. So the population drops in California, and he's trying to keep power. He knows he's greatly unpopular. By the way, I've looked at his polling. He's polling somewhere around the mid-30s to mid-40s on certain policies. But he is not very popular as a candidate. Just thought I'd bring that up to you. By the way, this guy was recalled, folks. I don't know if you know this. Gavin Newsom was recalled back in 2021. That's how unpopular he is. They even tried to get another movement going to do it again. That's how much people don't like Gavin Newsom. So there you go. Florida, Texas, Tennessee, they're all growing in population. They are. And again, a lot of this because people are leaving these blue cities, these blue states that are run by these blue lunatics like Gavin Newsom, right? And they're coming to these states, and they're saying, wow, we have more people now. We have so many more people moving in. We're building so much. I was in Austin in 2023, and my God, it just building cranes everywhere. I said, well, this is crazy. But these areas are growing. They're getting bigger. They're expanding. Now, it only makes sense that you redistrict accordingly. So these state governments are able to do that. It's not an unheard of thing. Again, they do the census every 10 years. But this is something that's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. We didn't experience anything like COVID, I don't think, in our nation's history. But again, there's a mass exodus out of New York, out of California, out of Illinois. People are leaving them. People are going. Once they retire, they're gone from California. They don't want to put up with this crap anymore. They don't like these policies. In fact, their first initial reaction to this redistricting was negative across the board. Most people were like, no, we don't want to do this. They do a poll here and there. Oh, yeah, it's so popular, right? And that's just to get you to think that people are on their side. Never forget that. So that when they, throw the election, they can say, hey, look, everyone really wanted this. Oh, really? Democrats, you would like this if Republicans got in office? So they can draw districts the way they want to do it? Really? Yep. Well, they figured out how to win elections, folks. I don't know what to tell you. If you have a state that doesn't even require voter ID, I don't know what more I could say to you. We know these machines can be hacked. I'm not telling you not to vote, but I'm just telling you. The odds are greatly against you in these states. That's why Trump needs to forensic audit these machines. That's what he should do. They need to clean the voter rolls in every single state, start over, make a law every 2 years, you re-register to vote in your county, in your state that you live in. That's the way it needs to work. We can't have this. There's people on voter rolls that have been gone for like 30 plus years. I mean, it's that ridiculous. Even in states like Arizona, same thing. So there you go, Gavin Newsom destroying the redistricting in the state of California. Nothing new, nothing shocking. So we'll see how Prop 50 plays out. If you're in California, vote no on Prop 50. All right. Gateway Pundit says, reporting from Rome now, Rome, Italy, says EU opens border policies fueling violent crime in the country of Italy. How awful this is. And again, it's not anything unknown. We've seen this before. We've seen this in many different countries in Europe, that the floodgates have been opened to the third world. And of course, the end result is never anything positive. It's not conducive to making the country better. But here we go. It says here, Rome ranks third in Italy's crime index, following Milan and Florence, with data showing a steady rise in street crime, including robberies, thefts, and violent assaults. In 2024, get this, Rome recorded a total of 270,407 crime reports, equal to 6,401 per 100,000 residents. Whew. Reports of sexual violence increased by 7.5%. Intentional injuries rose by 5.8%. Drug-related crimes were up 3.9% compared to the previous year. Now, according to Rome's daytime safety walking score, is 75 out of 100, while its nighttime safety drops to 47 out of 100. I mean, so this is exactly what we're talking about here. And they pull this influencer. His name is Lorenzo Caccialupi, I believe is how you say the name. Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. And he went on to say that he speaks out against these open borders. He's returned to the city of Rome, where he continues producing conservative content. And he is a strong supporter of Giorgia Meloni, the prime minister. Herself an ally of President Trump, who once praised Charlie Kirk. And he frequently condemns the European Union's open border policies and posts near daily videos from Roman neighborhoods where assaults and, of course, these street crimes have occurred. And we've seen all this before. We see it happening in London. We see it happening in Paris. We see it happening in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Sweden, and all these countries, right? We see it happening. So, he's right about this influx of these migrants that have changed Rome's demographics, right? Seeing large numbers of migrants from North Africa and sub-Saharan Africa, many idle in the streets, some running scams, some selling counterfeit goods, while others appear to have no work or any purpose of any kind at all. And again, conducive to the existing population, right? That's what immigration is supposed to be. Most people don't get this. Immigration is just, hey, let's let everyone that wants to come in. The hell with everything. The idea of immigration is you bring in people who want to share the values of your country, who want to contribute to your society, and be a bonus to have in your country. It's not just a dumping ground for people that have nothing to do. Most people don't understand this, which is why I'm totally against even having 1 million legal immigrants come to the country of America every year. When you have a population that don't work in this country, when you have an unemployment rate in this country, why are you bringing in more people? Every single year. 1 million. It adds up over time. I'm not saying we don't have great people that come in that are of that group. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is you have to take care of your own first. Immigration should be an afterthought. Hey, listen, we don't have anyone working in this part of the country. Why don't we bring in this group of skilled workers from X, Y, and Z? Okay, then that's something that should be talked about. Should be something that's discussed. Should be something that the population wants. But we don't see any of that. We've left it up to Congress since 1965. And again, from 1920-ish till 1965, we had very limited, if any, immigration into this country at all. And all of a sudden, they open up the floodgates to the third world, and there you go. There you go. So, foreigners make up 31% of Italy's prison population, is what the article goes on to say, largely from Africa and North Africa. Not a shock. And just to be clear, about a third of the people in American jails, federal prisons, are illegal aliens. Just thought I'd bring that up too. 67% of crimes committed by foreigners are attributed to illegal migrants. There you go. So again, the overwhelming majority of that 31% are illegal aliens. They account for about 30% of all crimes nationwide. Among minors, the problems are even more severe. The non-EU youths represent only about 1.5% of Italy's population, but are responsible for 65% of muggings, 50% of thefts, 48% of robberies, 47% of sexual assaults, 40% of physical attacks committed by their age group. Here's a stat here. Between 2020 and 2021, arrests and crimes that have been charged against minors rose by 14%, with nearly half involving foreigners, mostly second-generation immigrants. So Italy is in a crossroads, just like so many other nations are in Europe that, again, have just continually opened up their borders. By the way, they just elected a new prime minister in Ireland who, again, is an open borders fanatic, a left-winger. But Meloni is a right-winger. She's a nationalist. And what she should do, again, is deport illegal aliens, deport these people from the prisons, stop accepting these boats coming in from North Africa or wherever the hell they come from, and send them back to where they're supposed to be. That should be the proper response. We're not seeing that. Again, due to pressure from the EU, of course, these policies from previous liberal governments, Italy has become overrun with these asylum seekers. Legal immigrants and, of course, illegal aliens. They need to shut down their immigration program as well. That's the only way your country survives. Again, that's it. That's it. Again, the low birth rates in Europe, so they bring in the third world. And then these countries look like the third world. Go look at Paris. Don't take my word for it. Go look at Paris right now. Go look at London right now. Go look at it. You tell me if it looks like what England should look like in London. You tell me if Paris resembles the French. Or Berlin looks like Germany. Or Vienna looks like Austria. I mean, come on. What's going on here? This is intentional. This is deliberate. Whites make up what? 9% of the overall world population? They say that everybody from every other country should just come into these mostly white populations and then commit crimes like this? Destroy the fabric of the society like this? This is not the way it should be working. This is not immigration. This is an invasion. And it's an intentional invasion. Again, by the schmucks that run the EU. Look at this. An estimated 600,000 illegal aliens now live in the country. Well, they all need to go. And anyone else that's not working, anyone else that's been thrown in jail, any of the youths, as you call them, I call them criminals, the criminal youth, need to get thrown out of the country. And when these boats show up, you stop the boat, you detain the boat, and you give them a nice little trip right back to where the hell they came from. That's where they belong. Yep, this migrant crisis should be to a halt. Just my thought on that. Just thought I'd bring that up to you. All right, here we go. Look at this. Jim Comey. Again, this is the smoking gun in the case against Jim Comey. I've told you this time before, but it's looking really bad for him. These legal troubles have gotten only worse. And in September, Jim Comey, being indicted, of course, on charges of making false statements and, of course, obstruction of justice, Comey was all in, he's all happy about, getting these charges. He wanted to go to court. But things are not looking good for old Dimmy. No. Must be all that Taylor Swift he listens to. Just things are not going well for him. What a pathetic man. By the way, Comey's own words show that he wasn't merely just aware of his top aides leaking to the press. He was actually congratulating them, and they figured this out through various emails between him and one of his closest advisors, who kept leaking to the New York Crimes. So the aide in question, Dan Richman, one of Comey's closest confidants, and the same man who served as his conduit to the New York Crimes, you know it as the New York Times, I call it the New York Crimes, during the infamous leaks that helped trigger the Mueller investigation. Yeah. So he gave this classified information to his buddy, again, who had no clearance, no top clearance at all, to obtain these documents. He gave them to him, and he leaked this information to the press. Not looking good for old Jimmy. Not looking good. No. Now, for years now, Comey's insisted under oath that he never authorized any staff to leak information to the media. But that's not really the case. Investigative journalist John Solomon explained this, actually, revealing that these emails now and these handwritten notes tell a much different story. The leaked material at the center of this case relates to the Hillary Clinton email scandal, a topic that Comey and, of course, his defenders have had long claimed that he had handled with scrupulous neutrality. Oh, yeah. Like when she destroyed 33,000 emails, then bleached the hard drives. Is that right? You handled that with scrupulous neutrality, you idiot, you? Now, the evidence otherwise suggests something different. The former FBI director not only knew about these leaks, but encouraged them. Precisely the opposite of what he told Congress. So he committed perjury under oath. Yeah, not a good thing. Not a good thing. And of course, he was involved in what Obama started with his whole Russia collusion hoax. Comey was right involved with it with John Brennan, Jimmy Clapper. Oh, yeah. And of course, a damn shiftless of California who held these meetings in the basement of the Capitol building. But Comey went on to actively congratulate them. Listen to what he wrote to this friend of his, this Dan Richmond guy. Good job, my friend. Actually congratulating him. Good job, my friend. Who writes that to somebody except a 60-year-old man that listens to Taylor Swift? I don't know. I really don't know. This is not looking good for Comey. Comey might be the one that actually falls as a result of this. This is not good stuff. Now, again, it's hard to overstate how serious that contradiction is. I mean, I don't understand. Who writes this stuff? I mean, they actually have the handwritten notes here on PJ Media. You can go take a look at it yourself. But this is not good. This is not good at all. And as far as his motives, who knows? But why would he do all this? He's backing Hillary Clinton, of course. Now, according to Sullivan, the emails released in the filing show that Comey believed that Hillary Clinton would soon be president. So, again, remember the polls that were coming out? 98% Hillary, 98%. All these, Hillary's going to win. Trump is just this buffoon. He's never going to win. Trump was the accidental president. Let's be honest here. Trump was the accidental president in 2016. They weren't expecting this. Obama wasn't expecting this. Right? Remember that thing? Trump was, I guess he wrote a tweet about Obama back in 2011, and he was reading it right before the 2016 elections. And Obama goes, well, at least I'll go down in history as a president. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? Yeah, seriously, how'd it work out for you? He literally wrote now to Dan Richmond, this advisor, that he fully expected soon to be working for President-elect Hillary Clinton. He thought Hillary Clinton would be grateful for the way he handled things in her email case, again, obfuscating the subpoenas for these records. Didn't do anything when she destroyed these 33 emails, these files, didn't do anything about it. So he had this false pretense, again, that he's going to be working for a President Clinton and not a President Donald Trump. That's the biggest mistake he made. That's the biggest mistake all of them made. And again, they probably were going to push the Russia collusion out after, they thought Clinton was going to win. They weren't expecting it. They bashed President Trump, that way he goes away, all this nonsense. But it didn't work out that way, did it, folks? It didn't work out that way. In fact, it didn't work out how any of them thought it. And now we have Comey being indicted, and rightfully so. So he lied to Congress, he misled the public, and of course appears to have manipulated the FBI to protect Hillary Clinton, his preferred candidate, while undermining Donald Trump. And that, my friends, is in of itself treason. Yep, there it is. There it is. Unbelievable. So Comey gets everything that he's got coming to him. Good. Maybe he can listen to Taylor Swift while he's in prison. He can put some headphones on, listen to all that garbage music. Yeah, there we go. That'd be good for him. Soothe the soul, in between getting kicked in the ass, while he's in the yard. Who knows? Quartz has this article. I got to share this one with you before we end our show today. So it's got Scott Bessent. I always say his name wrong. Is it Bessent or Bessent? I don't even know. I think it's Bessent. Okay, we'll go with Bessent. Scott Bessent says part of the economy are already in recession. But he blames the Fed for this. What's going on? I thought everything was supposed to be honky-dory. What's going on here now? So the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned on Sunday that parts of the U.S. economy have already slipped into an economic downturn. Sitting with CNN host Jake Crapper, He said, I think we're in good shape, but I think there are sectors of the economy that are in recession. Well, no kidding, Scott. You had no idea about this? I knew about this, so that means you must have definitely known about this. It says that the feds have caused a lot of distributable problems. Distributional problems. There we go. Bide a moment, folks. I'm sorry. My mind's racing at 100 right now. I can't think sometimes, I guess. Bide a moments. They happen. All of us. So there's been these problems with these policies. And, of course, they're referring to the high interest rates here. Now, he goes on to say that the call for the Fed to lower interest rates to ease mortgage costs and end this housing recession. Now, he didn't really specify, of course, with the other parts of the economy that are in recession, but I can pretty much suspect what he's looking at. Here's the problem. And this has always been the problem. Inflation, all this other nonsense, all these things are caused by one place. Washington, D.C., the District of Criminals. Everything that happens monetarily happens in Congress. The ability to print more money, of course, the Fed does it. The Fed does it on their own. They're a private institution, and we really can't do anything about it. Sorry to say, that's the way it's been set up. So, we make a bill. We're going to give, $10 billion to Europe, let's say. Well, the Fed just prints out that money. And that $10 billion goes to Europe. Now we have a bigger money supply. We have $10 billion more in the monetary supply. Well, guess what happens when there's more dollars floating around? The cost of goods goes up. That's the way it always works. More cash, more supply, same demand. The dollar drops its value. There you go. So the central bank has operated without the usual economic data to inform its decision-making for the past month. This ongoing government shutdown has virtually closed the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so was unable to collect and assemble the data released on a monthly basis regarding consumer prices, economic growth, and much more. So again, this is all policy. And what they're hoping for, as a result of this, change in the interest rate, right now it's being kept between 3.75% and 4%. They want to drop it. And what happens when they drop interest rates? Well, more people are going to start looking for more loans, more favorable loans, more time to buy. But again, as the interest rates drop, you're going to see the dollar fall as well. That's why you're seeing gold prices so high right now. So just thought I'd bring that up to you as well. Doesn't mean you're totally fresh out of the gate yet. We've seen some supply chain issues. We've seen things, as I mentioned to you yesterday, between, beef imports and, of course, beef herds in the U.S. We've seen issues with, natural disasters and, of course, the production of things like coffee beans, things of that nature. So all these things tie into what's happening right now. We seem to have, quelled the price of gas. That's gone down quite a bit, and that's a positive thing. That's definitely helping things out. But we have other problems, too. What's the other big problem? Well, here in the Washington Times, I'll go over this as quickly as I can. Trump says he won't attend Supreme Court hearing on his tariffs. And why is he doing that? Well, because primarily he has no right to do them. I mean, a tariff is a tax, and in that case, what needs to happen is that Congress needs to write a law, approve of the law, and then they pass the law with the president. And then, of course, these tariffs are enacted. That's the way it's always worked. But now we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that happen anymore. What we're seeing now is President Trump gets up one morning and decides, hey, we're putting these tariffs on China. We're putting these tariffs on this or that. That's not the way it's supposed to work, folks. That's not the way it's supposed to work. So, again, I don't think they should stand in the court. I don't think they will. There's been talk that he's got to give this money back to these nations. I don't know if that'll happen or not. I can't see that happening because it's already been enacted, but it's probably not going to end well. Just thought I'd bring that up. Folks, thanks for being here. I appreciate you so much. Share the show with some friends. Get out and vote if you can. And I'll see you tomorrow on the next Marco Dre Show. Be good. Stay busy. God bless.